Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Looking for some advice on a potential car move I got to make. I've got an aged car, about 2010, and I need to either purchase a vehicle or lease one through my business, which is what both my tax professional and my lawyer were like, hey, that would be a great tax advantage. It's a good idea for you. What should I do?
Well, I mean, it comes down to, do you want to listen to your accountant and lawyer or just two guys hosting a financial call-in show?
Well, I know how Dave feels about leases. I mean, that's kind of a given at this point, but I just don't want to do stupid with some zeros on the end of it and just look back at this and go, oh yeah, I should have leased the car, or oh yeah, I should have just bought it outright.
Do you have a dollar amount on the tax savings?
No, I don't.
That's one of those phrases that folks throw around. Like, you shouldn't pay your house off because you can write the house off. And people don't lay that up against the monthly mortgage payment and the tax and yada, yada they pay, the interest payments they make. This is one of those moments that I would wonder, and I'm making a purely math argument here, and we'll talk about the psychology in a second. I wonder what the actual tax savings would be versus the depreciation of the leased car.
Because that's what you're paying when you lease a car. You're prepaying the depreciation plus other fees.
You're giving a gift to the car dealership because you are paying the depreciation of the vehicle they have, so they can turn around and sell it as a inspected, like, super used car that some Yahoo just paid our depreciation for us.
An apartment on wheels, right?
Well, my further question is, why is your lawyer telling you to lease a car? Where does that come into play? I understand.
Yeah, my lawyer keeps me out of jail.
That comes into play. It's my business lawyer, and we have a relationship, and that was kind of a in passing thing.
Okay, you're like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so it wasn't like this is your legal advice. It just happens to be people on my team, and I was like, maybe I'm missing something.
What's your business?
I'm a photographer.
Okay, well, how much?
This is the greatest call I've ever had.
What is the gross revs and profits in a year?
Right around 400,000.
Is your gross revenue?
Yeah.
And what do you take home? What's on your tax return?
About a quarter of that.
Okay. So you're bringing in, let's say...
A quarter? Really? You have 300, like you have 75% expense on a photography business?
You have a big team?
No, that's just what I pay myself.
Okay. So there's more profit. Are you reinvesting that? What are you doing with all the extra profit?
At the moment, I've made a bunch of physical moves in the business, changed locations. I mean, there's just a lot of moving pieces at the moment.
Do you have any other debt?
And I'm just looking at just a house.
Okay. Are you married or single?
Married.
Okay. What does your spouse think about this?
She made that grimace face when I brought up the lease conversation because I wanted her input, of course. I think she's willing to do whatever is most advantageous for us. But at a glance, she was like, well, let's get the estimate on the car first, see if it's worth putting some money into to make it, kick the can down the road so we can buy a car later.
What's the necessity of having this new car?
Something safe for her and my son to get around in.
Okay, so this isn't really for your business anyways.
It's not, but the vehicle that I currently use on a daily, she would take over, and then we could lease it to the business, and I would use it for business.
Because you have to use the vehicle 50% of the time in order to even have any tax advantages from that lease.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just think you're going to make a very different decision if I just said, hey, how much cash do you have on hand to purchase a used, reliable car versus, hey, what's the sweetest, shiniest whip you can go lease at the dealership? Those are two very different conversations. And that's really the heart of this, is you're going to make a much more, just put it bluntly, a stupid decision if you lease that car versus buying one with cash that you actually have.
Okay.
Usually when people say I want to lease a car for business, they want to drive something super flashy that's going to attract clients or buy a 9,000-pound thing they can depreciate and write off on the taxes and get a G-Wagon. And it's generally stupid decisions pumped up by Instagram gurus.
So we are not, You're
not that guy.
Definitely not. No, I'm not looking for that.
You're a guy who wants a reliable car for his family. And we've both been there. And every time, regardless of our business and tax advantages, we just go, what is the car we can afford in cash?
And you made $400,000 last year. You've got $40,000 to buy a car, right?
I agree. Yeah, that's
You
not-
have the
yeah,
cash?
Doing that today, if I needed to, I'm not worried about that. If we needed to do that today.
So here's what I'm going to tell you as a guy who's not nearly as sophisticated as George is when it comes to the math on all this. If I own a small business, which is what you have, you're very successful at what you do. I mean, you're in the 1% of the 1% of photographers. Everybody wants to get into it, and very few people make it. And you are out of this world successful. I would still be haunted by how many outstanding liabilities I have as the only guy with the line in the water. And I don't care what the tax savings would be. I would pay it as a sole tax. That is my car, and my business can go in the toilet. The economy can tank, and my business can go from $400,000 to $35,000 in 1 year as a photographer, and nobody can come take that car from me. Whereas I just signed a 3-year lease agreement, and those payments are coming out automatic withdrawal, no matter how much money I'm bringing in. And the tax savings simply is not worth the sleep tax it would cost me.
I don't disagree with you. Maybe my question should be, do I need a new tax person and lawyer?
No, I think your tax person's giving you tax advice, and the tax accountant is going to say,
here's all the things you could take advantage of.
that's right. And because you probably sat down as a small business owner and said, all right, help me. And they're trying to cut your tax bill. Here's a way to cut your tax bill. Here's a way. And I think you look at your tax accountant and say, I don't borrow money ever, period. And if they bring it up, cool. And maybe then if they're trying to get you to do something outside of your wheelhouse or outside of your values, then yeah. But no, I don't blame George, I don't blame the tax
I don't
accountant.
think they're a bad person.
Yeah.
They're doing their job. And if you want to get a second opinion, reach out to a tax pro that's Ramsey trusted. Go to RamseySolutions.com/tax and say, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm curious if you get a different opinion. But I don't think this is going to bless your life in the way you think it does. There's other ways to get deductions, better ways to skin this cat. That's my final take, John.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.